Hey, morning. It's Pops, fumbling around with keys. That's what, 5 key rings here. Not necessarily massively full. Just wondering how many of you have keys like this. There's actually another wad of keys I have someplace, probably in a drawer over there. I just didn't see them. That has one particular purpose: cab keys. Yeah, when I worked at Anderson and we were going out in the field, they well, a lot of construction outfits with rentals, they'd lock the doors. Well, for some reason, Komatsu backhoes had a different key for the door than, yeah. So we had a lot of stuff where there was a different key for the door than there was for the ignition. So it got kind of be a pain in the butt. But at the same time, also, we had JCB, we had Komatsu, and then some other off brand stuff with lockable doors, Ingersoll Rand, compressors, and such. That's not off brand, but you know what I mean. So anyway, compressors, generators, all kinds of stuff. And I just thought I'd go through. Let's play a game. How many keys do you have? I'm not going to count all these. I'm just wondering. Some of you guys out there may have a mess like that. What do I have here? That one I'm not sure, but that is a European style key that went to an awful lot of stuff. This one is a door key, obviously. I have a bunch of these in different configurations. This is a semi-universal Komatsu key. The skid steers had their own stuff. This is an Oliver tractor key. I'm going to try and identify as many of these things as I can. And Oliver had a very unique key, and one of the main component problems with this key was, some of you know, that nylon center often split. Farmers didn't want to pay for a new one, so they'd fumble with it forever. I'm not sure. This one is kind of a clone of a Caterpillar key, I do believe. It doesn't. One of these that I have is backwards. Yeah, they milled it backwards, and it was a Caterpillar or for Caterpillar that I got it from. This is another Euro key. I believe this was for Dynapack compressors, or not compressors. Well, compactors. That's the word I'm looking for. Typical John Deere. I believe that's an excavator key, and this one is a skid steer key. The skid steer key that works in a lawnmower, that X465 I ran the other day. We've got some other oddballs here. I think that went to an Ingersoll Rand high lift. There's another Komatsu key. I couldn't tell you what that one went to, but I used to use it here and there. This is another one that might possibly be for some type of man lift. Now, that one is a Massey Ferguson style key. Yep, the old Masseys. Now, the Massey Ferguson 100, 200 series, I believe, used a key like this. And the curious thing is the diesels, this was a momentary switch. Yeah, the oil pressure switch turned the dash lights on, or turned any of the power on to anything else. When you pulled the fuel shut off out, shut the tractor off, everything went dead because there was no oil pressure. Switch was off. So there was no actual ignition. The oil pressure switch was the ignition switch. What else we have here? Ooh, that's one I should know and I can't remember. This one. Case back hose, Chrysler cars. I have no idea what that is. I'm probably going to throw it out. Okay, what else do we have? Oh, another one of them funky keys. Now, let me start with this. This is another configuration of a Komatsu key. We'll go with that. There's that one again. Ilco. This was done by Benedum, so I'm pretty sure that went to like an Ingersoll Rand all-terrain forklift or one of their rollers. Again with a Massey Ferguson key. I worked on Fergies for a while. And there we go with that. Yeah, key for sticking in my head. One of those short lines that. It's drawing a blank. One of these fits Fuchs scrap handlers. Caterpillar Master Key, and Master Keys for some of the other brands. There's another one that used to fit certain types of short line equipment. Another Case backhoe key. There's another European key that I'm pretty sure went to Ingersoll Rand machines. Here we go. A Ford Lucas key. There's two versions of these. One was narrower than the other, so you have to be careful which one you use. And then this one is a Komatsu 787 key, which is supposed to be more universal than the other, but I'm not sure it actually is. Why do you have two? We had two at one point in time. The branch I was in figured out the cost of the keys to the branch and started laughing about it. And he got this idea that when you're going out in the gas field and you're making anywhere between 2 and 10 stops a day once you're out there, and sometimes 8 of the 10 stops are to find out where the other 2 machines are that you're going to be working on. And we just gave the keys away. Stickers, service stickers. They put them on their helmets. Are you kidding? We got probably over a dozen phone calls in a 6-month period because we gave them stickers and keys. Yeah, for payable repairs. Well, what Anderson was doing was some of the repairs were general that went along with the rental fleet. So they didn't want to have to pay for them themselves. So they didn't care if they didn't call. They actually said, don't give that stuff away. Now, these are old keys that I've had and collected for years. There's another one of them that must have been an important key. A Mitsubishi Master Switch. I know what that one is for. That goes to Maruka Trucks. There's a Heister forklift key. That went for something else as well. Gale, I think. Gale skid steers. That's on a separate ring. Let's go with this one here. This is their John Deere again. Komatsu again. See, that one is a cat key that might have been ground wrong. I took the plastic off for some reason. Don't know what it was. This one I think is another door or compartment key for the air compressors. There's one there, and then there's the old John Deere tractor key again. Now some of these, after looking at them today, they're going to get pulled off of here and tossed. Since I don't, this is just a collection, and this I'm missing a bundle too. This is a collection I've had from over the years. Just the last, I guess I threw out a lot of the old stuff because I was collecting keys since 1980. My first Ford dealer. And from there on up, I've been collecting the buggers. That's why I have 2 Massey keys. You're going to say, where's your Allis Chalmers key? A lot of Allis Chalmers tractors had INDAC. The regular old lawnmower key switch. Simple. So you got those all over the place. This is a bundle I bought when I was at Monroe Tractor. This one isn't. I couldn't even tell you what that's for, and I should know. So let's go with that one as the starter key. What do we got here? This is a case key. CAS. Must be for dozers or something. There's another one. What's this one? These are labeled. Oh, that's what that one is. Yeah, remember I said European, Japanese as well. Takeuchi. That's one of their keys. Let me tell you, Takeuchi may seem like a midline machine. They built some fantastic stuff. This one's going to be labeled. There's case again, your backhoe key. And this is Kobelco Kawasaki. Kawasaki loaders, Kobelco excavators. There's this is Doof 900. No idea, never seen that before ever. There again's your Ingersoll Rand and Pollock, Gale's equipment. This one's going to say cat. It do. Ford New Holland. Probably skid steer key, but I don't remember. That's the one there, JCB. I should have known that. Should have known that, the British stuff. Sometimes you know where the stuff is manufactured. You don't even need to go out and check what key it is or take the whole ring. You know what it is. If it's European, it's usually something to do with a JCB style key. Japanese, well, that's a hodgepodge right there. But okay, this is John Deere Common, as it's called. JD Com, number 21. Probably goes in a lot of the loaders and such. Here's another one. What's this one labeled? John Deere is Hitachi key. So that's another one that looks like. And this one's similar, but it's not quite the same. That one's labeled HD62. Doesn't say what it's actually for. Never seen that one either. Paid a lot of money for these things, but I'd never used. John Deere skid steer. So that other key that I showed you isn't skid steer. It's probably the tractor. Komatsu again. And that came with a bundle. Komatsu 787 key, which is as universal a key as you can get for Komatsu. What's this one labeled? Ah, so I have several of these. Kubota tractor. What's this one? Volex. That would be Volvo. Never run into one of them either. Ah, the big old Kubota, the monstrosities. Cubex. Kubota excavators, the old ones. There you go. Labeled cat for your older master switches. And another Cub excavator, just a different style, Cubex. Hyundai! Another one I've never run into. Pray that I never do. And another Kubota. So this has very few uses for me anymore. This was the industrial series. The Ags bundle I have doesn't have a lot. Probably 2/3 of them are different, and the others are pretty common farm tractor stuff. I may go through these, and if I don't recognize it, toss it, because I've definitely got duplicates of almost everything except some of the oddballs here I'll never work on again. Pray that I never do. When I retired, there's certain construction equipment, small stuff that I may work on, maybe even some of the larger, but for the most part, I enjoyed working on construction equipment. What I don't enjoy is that it's always a ram, rush, push. Okay, another one playing with today. An idea I want to toss out there. As often as you can, buy these fuel filters with a double nipple. Why? It's a fuel restriction. Yeah, there are problems with it. However, if you're running 5/16 and it's going to be a space problem or corners or whatever else, cut the quarter off. It's not that hard. Big old razor blade. Just don't cut yourself. And make sure you lay it on something like a board firm and slice right through it. Give it a little clean off and clean out. Make sure no plastic gets in there. Put it on there. Main reason I'm looking at this is I was trying to find this and I had it covered up. It's the only one I have. I have to get some more. And I run into several instances recently here, especially with some of these 20 horse, 23 horse, 24 horse V-twin engines, where a 3/8 fuel line's coming from the fuel tank, and next down to a 5/16, and then next down to a 1/4 inch going into the carburetor. And you say, why in the world would they do that? Well, 3/8 coming from the fuel tank because that's the longest run coming all the way up front, anywhere between 3 and 5 feet. Well, why restrict it, right? Because you have most of them have that little round diaphragm pump on it. Yeah, I might be able to stand this up a little more. So the round diaphragm pump doesn't even pump, maybe on a good day, full wide open, a pound of pressure. The design of it is just to move fuel to the carburetor, get it in the carburetor. It's supposed to be just a little more than gravity feed type of thing. So 3/8 coming in, 5/16 might be going out. Well, you say that's not, well, 3/8 will hang on to here pretty good. You just need a clamp. If you put this in a 3/8 hose, it will hold it a little. So you put a clamp on there, problem solved. Then 5/16 on the other side, perfect fit. And in many of them, it's 5/16 coming in, so you're all set, and then a 1/4 inch going out, or 5/16 going up to the fuel pump. So this solves a lot of trouble. Let's put it that way. Is it perfect? No. Now the other one is, do not use these on gravity feed systems. Now there's always some dillweed that tells me, I got it on my tractor and everything works just fine. Okay. And others of you out there in the farm community will put these in where you have a a sediment bowl. Don't do it. You hear me? Don't do it. You hear me? Don't do it. A sediment bowl is to have a free flow through it. Most of them have a catch screen for the large stuff. So you already have a restriction that acts like a filter. Plus it has to go in the bowl up and out. You're talking restriction again, just moving the stuff around. It has to move in circles, move up through the screen, go from one port to the next. So you're going to have that restriction as well. And you put one of these in there that's a 50 or 60 micron. What have you done? You just starved your engine unless you're just driving around. I had one tractor where I put these in, and I'd put them in tractors before without realizing that there was a considerable distance in tank to carburetor. So you got an 1850 Oliver, this isn't going to work, period, without a fuel pump. Too much fuel flow. But I was putting it on a 550 Oliver or Super 55, almost identical tractor. And the carburetor was here, and the bottom of the fuel tank is here. You're talking a foot. Well, if I do it in a 1650, 1550, or one of the other, the fuel tank's higher up, and it's not that much horsepower, more. So this actually did work, but on the Oliver it didn't. I had to put in a red Briggs & Stratton 120, 150 micron rated filter screen. And it's important to know that because you'll be driving along all day long, you do a little backblading, maybe to moving hay from one place to the other, and every once in a while you'll notice something funny, but yeah, it keeps going, so you don't think about it. And your engine's running lean, and you don't know it, you don't realize it, because the carburetor level is fluctuating now. When it starts to slow down a little, it's still working, and then it starts to catch back up from the gravity feed. It's just enough. You say, well, then why? Because it's not enough to run the engine at its full power. When the governor opens up, you're going to starve that carburetor for a while, and you'll have some stupid little problem. So if you have a sediment bowl, do not put a filter in there unless it's a screen, and the largest one you can get, an open screen with over 100 and something micron. You want 120 plus, the bigger the better. What do you mean? Because you're just trying to get a catch screen that the fuel bowl doesn't have. The problem is the bowl already has a screen that's right around 100 micron or so. So why do this? Well, because it'll catch the fines. Yeah, and you'll get yourself into trouble of starving your engine most of the time. Why? You have 3 restrictions now. You have the fuel filter, you have the fuel bowl, and the fuel screen in the bowl. And the natural flow of the fuel coming in, flowing out to center, going up, filling up, going up through the screen, then finally going out. So now you've got an in and out already restriction to finally get gravity flow coming down. Because the gravity isn't that fast coming down, you're not talking much of a siphon. So that's off. Not much gravity feed because it's a little bitty hose. It's just, don't do it, okay? If you want to do it, upgrade it and put a filter in the system. It's the same. You want 120 or larger micron filter in the line someplace, and take the sediment bowl off or the screen out. Let it free flow, and then just change your filters in the bowl once in a while. However, most people forget the bowl when they have a filter in there. That's not a lie. I've got 45 years of proof in this. They'll forget the bowl anyway. So you change your filter and forget the bowl because you have a filter. What's the bowl for? That's a primary catch basin. So if you're really serious about putting a filter in there, take the sediment bowl off. Put a shutoff valve in there, in your tank. That's it, just a shutoff valve, and then run a line down to your filter. You may actually, if you get everything coming down large enough so you can get a large column coming down, you might get enough to go through here. But if you're only running a quarter or 5/16 hose, it's not going to happen. You aren't going to get enough column coming down of fuel to actually push through there. You got to remember, your tank may be up in the air and your total fuel column coming down might be 1.5 to 2 feet. But if it's on a little bitty hole, what's the pressure you have? PSI. You don't have that much. That's right, SI, square inch. So if you don't have a lot of square inch, you don't have enough P. So bigger hole, more gravity pressure. And you're talking minuscule. We're talking in the neighborhood of, you're going to have a manometer to measure it. You're talking inches of water, maybe. probably sub-micron inches of water, just a very light change. Then you're talking atmospheric pressure. And also your tank vent has to be excellent. Hey, look at that. Lost all my viewers. So if you come with me this far, or you're somebody who pops on later on, or you watch this, yeah, I know. I beat a dead horse, it seems like. But it really isn't, because there's a lot of trouble I ran into when I was self-employed from 1990 to 2001. And a lot of the problems I ran into, especially in the summers and occasionally winter, but summer especially, was fuel starts to thin out and percolate, which means fuel weighs less. So your gravity feed was less. So all of this adds up to problems that I run into over the years, and the cures were the largest fuel line possible, 100 plus microns in the filters, and then take the screen out of the sediment bowl or remove it altogether and put just a shutoff valve in. And that would be your greatest for your old tractors in particular. And because later on, a lot of the Fords had fuel pumps on them. Was it necessary? Probably not. But still, they had a fuel pump on there. So putting one of these in, please do. Anything with a fuel pump, please do. Now you can get down to your 50, 60 microns to have something that's worthwhile. If some diesel setups will have a filter larger than this, the big old 3/8 coming in, and they'll have one of these that's a catch screen or even a water catch, big old tin housing on some. That really gets cool because it comes from the tank through as a gravity feed to some extent through that filter, then comes up to the fuel pump and keeps the fuel coming into the pump at the point where 50, 60 microns or even less, but right around there, going into the fuel pump to keep it protected and clean, the check valves that are in there. So after that, now you get down to 10 micron pre-filter in your tube. But the old stuff they used to have, some of it, this was your primary filter. Then it go through the fuel pump into a 5 or 10 micron, usually about 10 micron primary filter in your old jerk pump system, or secondary filter in your jerk pump systems. So it's important to know your micron rating if you're screwing around with this stuff, even in your old gas engines. Your little Cub Lowboy will thank you for it. Just saying, been down that road too many times. All right, time for me to pretend to get back to work. I've got so many things I want to do. Sometimes I just sit back and look at it and say, yep, someday.